What is up, Fire fam? Welcome back to the first live fire of 2026. Last episode, I noticed the live chat is growing. More and more of you guys are returning to the fireside. You guys must like it here. That's cool because we like you here too. And damn, dude, may I say it is a bad time to be an Oregon Ducks fan. Last I saw, it was 42-14 in the third quarter. I made a tweet earlier. If you follow us over there, I said, ask a Oregon fan how many national championships they have. They'll point to their helmet, ask them why, show this game. Anyway, if this is the first time you're here, here's what you get. You get a former MP, me, and a Green Beret over there giving you insightful analysis, razzing you about your favorite college football team. But we both come from a study and experience angle, right? There's a lot of levity because we're both using about 10 brain cells between us to make you laugh, and a community of folks who truly support one another. So just ask the Discord fam, and you can see that link in there. It'll pop up from Lauren Bobot. But welcome in. I promise you're not wasting your time. It is Friday. Hopefully you're off for the weekend and plan on staying up late with us because we are your official late night entertainment here on Rumble. If you're over there on YouTube watching this, it is surely a sign of a miracle because YouTube buries us like a lead over there. Either way, thank you. I would recommend hopping over here to Rumble where the live chat is going to be a lot more fun. You will get to meet all the cool kids. And hey, do us a favor as well. Hit that follow button, give the video a thumbs up, and if you're feeling generous, you can hit that repost because it helps us out a lot here on Rumble. We are I Came With Fire podcast. I am your host, Brandon. I'm a veteran. I'm a father. I am a husband, and we are here to be a bridge in the divide, your source for objective truth and educated opinion. As a reminder, this is a 360-degree two-way range, so if you walk on, be prepared to take some frag. Chris and I are going to say whatever we actually think, whether you like it or not. So put on a helmet, put on a flak jacket because the range is now hot. And we got to let Chris get his disclaimer out of the way here. So we'll do one of our favorite traditions on this show and watch Chris Sambo real quick.
What is up, guys? My name is Chris. I'm a Green Beret medic, a husband, and a father. And this is my personal humiliation ritual for Ewans. Yep, any and all opinions that you hear here on this channel belong completely and totally to the hosts and the guests. They do not represent the United States Army, the Department of War, or any other entity within the United States government. You have been disclaimed. Give you guys a little bit of a range familiarization. We're going to start with the trending topics up front. The things that everybody's been talking about all day long. You know them, you love them, but we're going to give you our takes on them. And then after the appetizers are out of the way, we'll hit the meat and potatoes, which is really what we think the through line is for or the most important thing that's happening right now. After that, the no-knock breakdown, which new body cam footage came out of the incident in Minnesota. And spoiler alert, it's only more damning for the people that think that she was not trying to hit an officer. But we'll get to it when we get to it. Brandon will give us his takes as a police officer on that one. And then after that, if you guys are still here, it must mean that you prescribe to this particular brand of degeneracy, because we will hit the comment section. The rest of the show will be of you guys, by you guys, and for you guys. But that doesn't mean that you can't be a part of the conversation the entire time, because any Rumble rant all the way down to $1 automatically will get pulled up onto the screen and will get interacted with. So just keep that in mind if you desperately need to raise your hand in the back of the class. And by the way, if you need to go to the bathroom, feel free. That's on you. Hope you guys have a drink because we're going to go down into it. And one other thing I forgot is the phone lines are going to go open tonight. So we got a lot to get to and a short time to get there. So let's do it.
So we have a short time to get there?
We got a lot to do in the time that we normally do this stuff in.
I think we'll be all right. Chris is
good.
Chris is an ace. He's doubting Thomas tonight, but we're all right.
I don't know about that.
Thank you for the rundown, man. Appreciate that. Let's do a real fast shout out to our sponsors, which obviously you guys can find in the show notes, but you already know that. First up, we got Honor Tribe Outdoors. Honor Tribe is a veteran-owned and operated business. They take vets, they take combat vets, they take Gold Star family members out for hunting and fishing trips, as you guys already know. And if you want to donate to an amazing cause, you can go over to their website and leave a donation, or you can drop a Rumble rant here in the chat. Just make sure you indicate that it's for Honor Tribe, and 100% of that will go to them. We've also got Kill Cliff Energy, one of my favorite go-to energy drinks. I prefer the Orange Crush CBD. And I know that Chris is on that cherry lime train. Very freedom centric can right there. But last but certainly not least, we've also got some pretty badass merch, which will be the best thing you put on your body. I promise. I'm rocking one of the hoodies right now. I like it. But if you head over to redpillthreads.com/I came with fire, you will find all of our awesome merch. There it
And I guess
is.
the Christmas shirt is still up if you missed it, but it's coming
Yeah, this
down
is the
any day
last
now.
week.
So there you go. But I
Yeah.
am going to order one of these this week. I got to get one. And I'm trying to figure out if I want it in the classic black so I can wear it to PT, or do I want to do that 1990s Air
Hmm.
Force PT colors right there? I don't know.
Well, I don't know, man. The black looks pretty clean. I'm not
It
gonna lie.
is. It really
Yeah.
is. Thank you for your attention to this matter. That's getting a lot of wear out this year.
If you have ordered merch, and I know a lot of you guys have, but if you've ordered one, let me know in the chat which you guys got because I'm
Yeah.
interested. I'm interested.
I know Alicia Victoria hit me up on Discord at least twice last week. She like, "This you?" Negative, try again. She sent me back like 3 seconds later. "This you?" I was like, still not.
Right,
But she's
dude.
trying. She's
It's like a
trying. It's
five. It's like
accuracy by volume, dude.
all right. It's like a 10-second video, like just shotgun, 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 shotgun. You know what I
Don't
mean?
tell him that.
I mean, if you haven't figured that out by now,
I know. How am I going to help you?
Ratchet says, I wore my backup you've been waiting for today. That's awesome, dude. Look at you.
Nice.
Ratchet,
I'm trying to
smiling
figure
for
out.
God. Good evening, y'all. Good evening to you too. What's up?
I'm trying
Welcome
to figure out
into
what Brandon
Lip
meant
for Goo. What do you
when
say?
he said, "Hey Chris, I did not know see me in chat was that exciting."
Hmm. I don't
Hmm.
know, man.
Interpreter.
Sometimes I think Brandon's just got really, really big fingers or a very small keyboard. That's what I
Well,
think.
why use many word when few do trick, you know?
If you do trick. Exactly. Perfect. Well, let's get to it then. As
Hey.
Chris said, there's a lot to talk about, but I'm pretty sure everybody has seen by now Iran being on the verge of becoming Persia again. I hope. We got some footage to check out from Wednesday through to this afternoon. I know we talked about it a bit on the check fire, but this isn't stopping. Obviously, the significance of it is pretty big. So let's check out some of the most popular footage that we found on social media. So that's getting shared the most.
I'm not gonna lie, dude. I thought the wave was gonna crest and die off. So
You know, it's been a slow burn since the beginning of December, really.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, Wood Geek right here, dude, has said he said had to jump over to YouTube to drop a like and comment for the algorithm. Y'all should too. Look at you, man.
Dude, pulling
He
double
said
D.
he said, you know where I'm going to 2026? The extra mile. That's where I'm going. The path less traveled. That's where I'm going.
So I got a before I pull this next one up, you
Hmm.
sent me a tweet for a little bit of context on this. So
Yeah, just so we knew what was on fire.
yeah, so I'm gonna pull that up first just so you guys can see. But before we go, Oz and Defender, great page on X if you guys aren't following. But the entire local government municipality building in the northern Iranian city of Karaj is currently engulfed in flames as anti-government protests appear to be on the verge of overflowing in Iran. And I
Mm.
also saw unverified, but I think it's funny. They said that they were walking around putting up President Trump street signs.
I saw
As
that. Yeah, they were taping
yeah,
them on stuff. Yeah, exactly,
yeah.
man.
But
I've seen
here's
quite
the. Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I've seen quite a few videos today of Iranians, and I even had there's another channel that we mutually follow each other over on Instagram, and she was sending me stuff that people are sending her from Iran because she speaks their language, and basically repost some of the stuff they send her. But there's actually been quite a few videos of people talking about or talking to Donald Trump. It's kind of wild.
Hmm. Well, here's that next one of the municipal building being on fire, so we can see what that looks like. Mad Bear Pig. I don't think you're going to put that out. They're just casually watching
Get
it
the
burn.
bucket.
Just casually watching it burn.
For real. No, that's crazy. But as of today, and like I said, this time started way back in early December, but as of today, all these protests have spread to about 170 cities, a total of about 330 locations in all of Iran's 31 provinces. So I think it's safe to say that this is a revolution in its infancy. Would you agree?
Mhm. Yeah, I would, and I know that there's been rumors that the Ayatollah has been smuggled out of the country. I haven't been able
I
to
saw that.
verify that. Have you?
I've just seen the rumors too. There's no
Hmm.
hard evidence or photo of him in
If
Russia
he
or something, you know?
does, if he gets smuggled out of the country and goes into exile, then to me that will mark the benchmark of this is being
Completely.
successful. Yeah.
Completely and totally. Yeah, no, I agree. We'll see though. But just like most things around the world, Chris knows, I know these events obviously have roots that go all the way back and sort of waterfall from events from the past moving forward. And there's things like that too, which have brought Iran to where they're at today. I mean, it's probably safe to say as well, most of you guys are at least aware of US involvement in Iran beyond like the nuclear strikes that we did last year. But I also know most people are always trying to learn about the history of these things, the situations. It's probably why you guys come here too, right? To learn about them. We talk about a lot of history. So let's talk about it real quick. Obviously, did the United States mess around in Iran and tip them into an Islamic theocracy? People say that, yeah, it's mostly true. It's one of these things that is mostly true, but there's obviously nuance. But like most of the sophists online today, you'll get like a meme level analysis, not the actual cause and effect. But like back in the early 1950s, Iran had a prime minister. The guy's name was Mohammed Mossadegh. Mossadegh, I'm not sure how you pronounce that, Mossadegh. And at the time, he made the decision essentially that he was going to nationalize Iran's oil supply, which took away the control of it from the Anglo-Iranian Oil Company, which was a Great British company. But obviously, it didn't sit well with the Brits. They boycotted it. They added a bunch of financial pressure on top of it, and they tried to say that the Iranians could essentially own it on paper, but they weren't allowed to sell it, which is why you'll hear a lot of people making parallels between Iran and Venezuela today. But obviously, those aren't clean through lines, and there's some other things that make them very different. But in 1953, the United States and the UK ran an operation called Operation Ajax, which removed Mossadegh. And by removing him, the Shah of Iran essentially became the most powerful person in Iran, except for the UK and whatever American presence there was. But the guy remained in power essentially until 1978 and 1979. And then what happened was Iran's Marxists and other leftist groups, they opposed the Shah, which is essentially the monarchy of Iran, and sided with the Ayatollah, which was an Islamist, to topple the guy. And obviously they were successful. They ended up calling themselves the Islamic Republic of Iran. And once that change took place, the Ayatollah turned against all of those Marxist leftist factions, purged them. He banned the party. He arrested a bunch of them. He executed a bunch of them, forced them to confess to treason or heresy. But anyway, jump to the 1980s, you got the whole Iran Contra thing. The United States was saying that they weren't allowed to get anything from the United States or the West in general, but then found out that there was some arms smuggling going on, which paralleled Nicaragua. Blah 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 blah. We'll wind up to the point here. We've got an exiled Iranian prince named Reza Pahlavi. But my question to you, Chris, and what do you think are the likelihoods that he comes back into Iran? And do you think he could come back with force? And by that I mean like military force.
The prince or the Ayatollah?
The prince.
Man, the likelihood of him coming back with military force, I think, is very low. I think that if you see the exiled prince come back, that is going to be a very telling sign that the United States has a hand in what's going on right now, at least behind closed doors. And the reason I'm saying that is because Donald Trump is making obviously overt threats of getting involved or hitting them if they start firing or using military force against protesters. So like guys like that don't just come out of the woodwork. And I know he randomly showed back up on my feed several months ago, and he started like getting some serious press and stuff like that. And I remember saying then, because like all the normal war hawks, the Lindsey Grahams and the Mitch McConnells and so on and so forth, started really beating the war drums about it. And all of a sudden this dude started showing up on my X feed, and I was like, there
Mm-hmm.
it is. Like I see what's going on. So if he does come back with military force, it's obviously going to be not military force of his own. You don't just walk into a country and like
Yeah.
this isn't the 1200s or the Middle Ages where you just say, pledge me your allegiance, and everybody just lays down their weapons. That's not the way things work anymore. So that if he does come back with military force, I guess to wrap this thought up quickly, it will obviously be because he is being stood up. So it would be allied military force of some kind. Um, but likelihood that he comes back at this point, I would give it a much better shot than I would have even 6 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And like I said, if
Well,
the Ayatollah does get smuggled out of the country, if he gets extradited, then that'll be a serious benchmark that's going to happen, I think.
yeah, I'll say this too. I do like that President Trump hasn't endorsed anyone to take over. Like he hasn't said, "Oh, this prince, let's try and support
Hmm.
this guy, get it back in there." I'm sure at some point he may endorse somebody, but he did make a public
Hmm.
statement about how he wanted to see who emerges. That's the actual language he used. But I would
Right.
say that the pathway to democratization, which we kind of talked about on Wednesday, is a pretty dark and rocky road. But anyway, that was a thicker than a bowl of cold oatmeal segment. A lot of history in there. So we should palate cleanse, and then we can talk about some sneaky Chinese spies.
Sure. Before we do that, Brandon, I saw your question a little bit earlier. Do you guys think that Minnesota incident is being blown out of proportion in order to draw attention away from what's happening in Iran? I don't necessarily think Iran, but I do have thoughts on that. Remember that question, tie a bow around it, and bring it back when we start talking about Minnesota, because I do want to answer that for you. But yeah, let's go ahead and let's come up for just a little bit of air, because yeah, you took us through like 300 years of world history just there. I think this
Like
one
50.
with 300 years of context. There you go. I'll give you that. Anyway, I think this one is highly appropriate. It's when the flight attendant starts saying, "I'm too drunk for another Jack and Coke."
In chapter 3, verse 55, can I say, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar!
That's my typical reaction right there, dude.
Mhm.
Typical
Aloha
reaction.
snack bar. All right.
That's it,
Anyway.
man. Well, you guys know one of my favorite countries to dunk on and talk about all the time is China, because they are our enemy, whether others want to see that or not. But apparently, the United States was running an operation called Operation Gatekeeper. They were looking to shut down an illegal GPU trafficking network. The one that they shut down in New York totaled around $50 million. These were NVIDIA H100, H200 AI GPUs, by the way. Those are important. But in Brooklyn in early December last year, so just like a month ago, the DOJ arrested a CCP citizen named Fan Yu Gong, and I guess if it gets hot, you should fan your gong. But he had a few he had a few co-conspirators. They were not named. I don't know why, but they were removing NVIDIA labels and relabeling the boxes of these GPUs under a fake company that Fan Yu Gong had set up himself, and they were trying to send them back to China. That guy was unsuccessful because he was caught in time. But in Texas in October of last year, so October 2025, another guy named Alan Hao Su, who was a Missouri City, Texas resident, so an American of Chinese descent, was using his company called Hao Global to smuggle essentially unlawful exports out of the country. They were the same GPUs, but that was $160 million worth of those AI GPUs that he was smuggling out of the country. And the DOJ website lists cases just like this going all the way back through May of last year, too. You can go to check out the DOJ website if you'd like. It's kind of where we get all this information from. But I ask all the China isn't our enemy people, are these the actions of a friend? They're not. I'll say this, then I'll kick it to you, Chris, for your thoughts. But AI chips are the precision tools of the modern power and control apparatus. Obviously, everybody's racing for it. But China's working to steal from the United States all the time. We know that. We talk about it often. They're trying to narrow the tech and military divide between our countries. But not only does this stuff, when they steal these things and then they pump them out of the country in the black market economy, they're stealing from you taxpayer money wise because you're not seeing those incentives, but they're doing it on your dime to erode American power around the world. So curious to you, Chris, how much more of this do you think there is, and why aren't we making a bigger deal out of it publicly?
Well, first of all, I'm going to start with this because Ratchet asked for it, and Ratchet gets whatever she wants.
Donald Trump don't trust China. China is asshole.
Apparently
But
she spit out her drink. I didn't know.
I saw that you made her
Was it
spit
the
take.
was it the gong joke? Let me know.
Fan Yu Gong, it's so hot.
For real, dude. It was instructional. It's instructional.
But well, first of all, I just want to start off by saying, because you're absolutely right, it's hilarious, like the level of technology that they're stealing, and they're stealing it literally by taking labels off of one box and putting another label on it, and it's just like the dichotomy there of. You know what I mean? You would think that there would be some type of quality control, some type of something, and this dude's just walking into a
I
warehouse and
know.
just slapping new labels on boxes. So in one sense, I'm very incredulous. Like, you expect me to believe this story that it's that unsophisticated.
Mhm.
It's a very hard leap for me to make. I would more believe that there's a higher level conspiracy going on, and this guy was being protected at a higher level, and it's just like that's what was going on the ground. Like that's how simple it was to pull it off. But like
Mhm.
nobody noticed. Like there's no security cameras footage inside of your warehouse watching him walk around and relabel boxes, which is a very strange thing to do on stuff that's getting ready to go out the door to be shipped. Like don't piss on my leg and tell me it's raining. I'm
Mhm.
really not buying it that it's that simple. But what was your other question that you said? If
Well, I'll give you the other question, and then I do want to say something about it, but I'll let you go first. My other question is why we don't make a bigger deal about this nationally. Like I understand that Trump is trying to keep this relationship between him and G like
yeah,
copacetic, but to me, like, and we talked about this offline, right? Like if we caught this dude, like drag his ass out in the middle of the street, make somebody fucking afraid to do this shit, peel the skin off his fucking body, right? Like this is national security implications we're talking about. But my
yeah.
question, generically is why don't we make a bigger deal about these things nationally on the news,
Well,
right?
I think as far as the government's concerned, the pragmatic answer would be because there's still ongoing investigations, and so it's like as those
That
things are
too.
unfolding, and you're talking about international espionage and corporate espionage and like these types of things. If you blow it out of the water and you're trying to like look at networks, then every other lead like goes to ground because they know,
Hmm.
and that's not really a fair answer because if these people are as sophisticated as I believe it would take in order to pull off crimes like this, they're probably very tied in and their algorithm is probably very specifically tuned to look for any ripples that would affect them like whatsoever. So that being said, I think number two, I think it's a national embarrassment because again, you put out the story that he's just relabeling boxes. Like
Hmm.
really, and you guys
Yeah.
didn't catch that. So it's nationally embarrassing. But my theory, if I was to crack open and tell you like total speculation, is that the Biden family was completely and totally bought off and in the pocket of the Chinese. And I think a lot of this stuff
McConnell too.
got set up and facilitated by a Biden administration that was willing to look the other way. Like, you know what I mean? Because like, look at
Hmm.
all of the non contributing board seats that Hunter Biden had, right? And we remember seeing the texts that came out that he was sending Chinese nationals to say, "I'm sitting right here next to my father. You will transfer that $400,000 or whatever the hell it was at the time,
Hmm.
or like you're not going
For
to
the
get
big
this."
guy.
So yeah, so we know that the Biden administration, or at least the Biden family, like at the core, was in direct talks and taking money from the Chinese, and then you come over and you see stuff like this. I can't help but draw a through line between those two and be like, dude, I think it was directly facilitated. You know, like
Hmm.
they opened the door wide open for them. So
Yeah.
that's my
Well,
personal
the
theory. All
mhm.
speculation, no evidence.
Well, that's again educated opinion. But the guy, this what's his name again? Allen, the Missouri City, Texas resident who was doing this. The company that he had was a legitimate LLC, and he basically took tech items and was shipping them around the country. Like there was a legitimacy to the business he owned,
Mm,
and he was getting some of these things, these NVIDIA GPUs, and then relabeling them, like you said, and then sending them elsewhere. So again, these businesses, these citizens open businesses here in the country, and they are fronts for the CCP. We've talked about this before. The US military had to change the way it does business with companies because they were saying, okay, well, X company over here, we're going to do business with because they're an American company. We're not going to do business with this company over here because they're a Chinese company. Meanwhile, they were just stopping up front, right? This company is explicitly Chinese. I see that from the storefront. This one says they're American, but you get behind the store and you realize that the American company, or quote unquote American company you're talking to, is actually a shell company for a company that originates back in China. And so now you have to have a chain of custody on who owns those businesses. And the U.S. government said, hey, look, you guys, Air Force, Army, Marine Corps, you need to dig into these businesses and figure out where they actually originate. Otherwise, you're doing what the Marine Corps did and purchasing a butt ton of laptops, and you're using them for 4 years, and those laptops have Chinese spyware in them, right? And this was a
hmm
Marine Corps intelligence unit that did this. And that's just one example. But these businesses, this guy, legitimate business here in the United States, is supporting the Chinese. And I'm telling you, if it's this, it's like a deer, dude. You see one, you're gonna see others. They're there,
Yeah.
right? Or you find a mouse in your pantry, I guarantee you he's not the only one.
Yep.
This level of fraud, because that's what that is, right? Because it's sabotage, it's espionage, exists all throughout the country. And it sort of begs the question, why isn't there an oversight to dig into where this company, especially companies that are shipping items that are related to technology and technology related artificial intelligence, and tracking where those things are going? And then oversight, Nvidia, I'm sure, was involved in this and realizing that these GPUs probably weren't making it exactly where they were supposed to go. And then because of the control item that they actually are, they're tipping off federal agencies and they're conducting investigations. But these things are national security related items and deserve to be treated as such. And obviously, this investigation yielded, it arrests, and it recovered these GPUs that were on their way out, but they didn't recover all of them. $160 million losses. That's quite a bit. Just to me, it says, the oversight that goes into businesses specifically and who they're owned by, where they go, especially when they're related to tech. That needs a deeper look,
Oh
completely
yeah,
and totally, to your point.
totally agree with
So
you.
things may look legitimate on the front, but all the way through, definitely not.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
Knuckles McGroin says there was also another breach far more nefarious. Let me know in the chat, man. Yeah, and right here, Radio Sack with the comment, why did Trump approve 400,000 Chinese student visas? Still unhappy about
I
that.
saw
Me
that.
too.
Yep.
Excuse me. Chris and I have been saying for months at least, right? Years probably at this point, about why we don't want more Chinese students coming to the United States. And why do you think every time they go to the negotiating table, Xi Jinping uses this as a talking point and pushes the US president to allow these students to come to American universities, right? The Chinese love to pretend like they have, cutting edge and their education system and all these things are so great, but they send students to the United States and these guys act as vacuums that pull up all this information. They wind up in these programs where they're working for companies, tech companies, biomedical companies, all these things. They just take that information and they shuck it on back to the Chinese. Not to mention, all of these students are on WeChat and they're required to be on WeChat and they're required to check in with a handler, basically. But I mean, goodness gracious, after what's been like 6 months, would you say, Chris, there's been 4 incidents just at the University of Michigan alone where they were trying to
Yeah.
bring in, there was a bio weapon that could destroy crops. It's just like, why are you
Yeah.
smuggling this in? It's already, and that's the thing that was so
They
weird
were
about
doing
that.
research.
Doing research. The thing with this bacteria or whatever it was that they were bringing in was, it is a highly studied bacteria in their field, but they have control samples to be studied. So
Yeah.
why smuggle it in when the study is provided for you, right? Which is what implies nefarious intent, in my opinion.
Meanwhile, don't you dare try to take more than 3 ounces of shampoo with you or toothpaste when you fly.
Oh, yeah.
But the Chinese are bringing in bioweapons.
Right. To University of Michigan, apparently, dude. They're not just cheating on the football field, right? But Knuckles McGroin says, Brandon, there was a bad candy breach that Cisco was directly working with the Department of War to correct in their firmware. Yeah, there's been a lot of things like that. Microsoft is another one that had a bunch of issues. Bond 1981 says, back in the days, look at what Boeing was doing. I'm sure the Chinese were trying to get in there. They absolutely were. They're everywhere, man. This is when we thought that we were going to modernize and westernize the Chinese economy. They said, yeah, sure, we'll do that. And then they didn't do that. There's a lot of good books on that. The 100 Years War is a good one. Man, I got quite a few over here. War Without Rules talks about that quite a bit, if you just have a general interest. But the 100-Year Marathon, not the 100 Years War, excuse me. That's a different thing from history. But the 100-Year Marathon is another one that's really good. Red Handed as well is a great book about this stuff. It talks a lot about politicians and other people from Hollywood that are essentially owned by the CCP. Chris referenced the Biden family. I referenced Mitch
Missed
McConnell,
opportunity
his
there.
wife. What's that?
I should have been yellow-handed.
True. Yeah. Yeah. Good point. But anyway, no reason why at this point anybody with ties to the CCP should be owning businesses or owning farmland or anything like that in the United States. I think there's enough demonstrable evidence that the malicious intent is, being carried out at will. But anyway, next up, we're going to go off planet and we're going to talk about 3i Atlas. You guys will probably remember last year specifically, it got a lot of attention from people like on the Reddit community and podcasters like us, mostly saying its presence near the Earth coincided with the government shutdown. I remember that was a big talking point for a while. A lot of people found that it'd be strange. And then it had a bunch of odd behavior. It wasn't behaving like a normal interstellar celestial object. And then obviously Harvard professor Avi Loeb suggested that it could be off-world craft, not to put too many words in his mouth, but we got a quick little New York Post article here we can check out, and we'll talk about it, man.
Hey, Ratchet is absolutely right. We got 525 Chads in the chat tonight, and
What's up?
last I checked, we ain't got that many likes. So, hey, if you guys are enjoying this type of content because we're bringing you information nobody else is talking about, obviously, go ahead and hit that like button, hit that follow button, and jump to the Discord server, become part of the family. But anyway, yep, heading on over.
Just because.
All right. New York Post. So you guys can see right here, CIA can neither confirm nor deny, they're really good at that, existence of 3i Atlas file hinting at possible threat. Harvard scientists. So I'll go ahead and read this here for you. Stop me whenever you're ready for me to be done. Is this the new Area 51? 3i Atlas may have left Earth's neighborhood, but it's still very much on our radar. In a new Medium post, Harvard scientist Avi Loeb, I know I butchered that, I apologize.
Loeb. Yeah,
like Avi Loeb. I was close. Yeah. Pointed out that the CIA hinted at the existence of classified documents related to the interstellar comet, suggesting that it could potentially be a threat to humanity. Quote, it's very interesting that they did not dismiss the existence of documents within the CIA on this matter, end quote, the astrophysicist told the Post. Loeb was referencing the CIA's response to a query by UFO researcher conspiracy theorist John Greenwald Jr.
Yeah. Well, obviously, classic Glomar answer. Right. You can neither confirm nor deny. That's what that's called, by the way. Did you know that? The Glomar answer?
I did not.
Yeah. So back in the day during the Cold War, the CIA was tasked with salvaging a Russian or Soviet at the time, right? Soviet submarine. And the person that gave that answer was a man with the last name Glomar. So it's called the Glomar response. Yeah. The more you know.
Thanks for that tidbit. Yeah.
Yeah, you're welcome. But I think, right, this answer they're giving, confirm or deny, classification hygiene, which is pretty classic. They admit that they do track interstellar object. Then it begs the next question of how do we track these things? So answering it sort of avoids the next logical question without going into things like sensor capes or planetary defense, which obviously, yes, there is planetary defense. We do a lot of that. But because this is a podcast and we like to get weird, you guys know we like to get weird. Chris, do you think that the can't confirm or deny means anything more than the routine, boring things I just said?
No, I mean, I really don't. I think it's just like it's become a meme in and of itself, and it's the cop out. So quite literally, if they don't want to deal with a topic at all, it's can't confirm nor deny, and then they're perfectly fine with the conspiracy theorists running with it and going buck wild, because it's the same as like any lie, right? Whether you miss the truth by an inch or you miss it by a mile, like who cares, because you don't know what's really going on. And so like I think they're perfectly fine with it. And at this point, like I said, it works so well that people hear it, and you might as well have not said anything at all.
Yeah.
So
I'm going to off topic real fast and jump back to it. This comment, a bunch of Candace O listeners. Actually, if you think that, you've never listened to anything we've ever said, because neither Chris nor I like Candace Owens. We think she's a sophist and have spent hours and hours on this podcast talking about how full of shit she really is. So if you're going to come in here and act like a dickhead, then by all means, go for it. The chat's probably going to come after you. But if you're going to tell me things that aren't true about myself, then I'm going to let you know. But
mods, get them.
I do think that it's interesting, though, because how many times does the CIA or any other government agency get hit with a FOIA request and they just say no, right? They don't even do
or
that.
Never reply at all.
Right. They don't even give it the answer, right? They don't glorify it with an answer of we can't confirm or deny. And stuff like that, I think too, right? Like, could it just be that's there, somebody at the CIA is operating in good faith and then it's like, yep, well, we can't confirm or deny. I'm actually going to acknowledge this response and give it to you. But sometimes they do shit like that where I think that it could be a little more than that. By saying this, you are sort of what you're doing. You're inviting in the alternative thought. I don't know. It's an interesting thing. Obviously, the government knows a lot more about interstellar objects and intergalactic objects than we do, and I do think we're not alone, obviously. But anyway, that one's fun. Emerald Coast 14. I love the Emerald Coast, by the way. Originally from Florida, but he or she says, "Oh my God, hate Candace, never liked her." And then me says, "I'm not talking about you guys. There were two messages." Okay, didn't see
Yeah.
those, so I'll apologize for now.
Off the hook.
Off the hook. Mark Claire Project says he loves the Candace Owens show. He
There it
also
is.
loves.
There's
he
the
also
one.
Loves. He also loves midgets. And if you don't believe me, you can go back and watch the Mark Claire Project episode with us from.
Where you
some
been,
time
man?
ago.
We gotta get you back on one of these live streams.
True. Radio Sex says, I didn't actually know y'all delved into this topic. You're all just into space in general or like the whole alien narrative thing. Oh, buddy, do we have some fun things for you? Listen, Chris and I got to talk to, oh my gosh, what is his name? Robert Salas, Captain Robert Salas. So Captain Robert Salas and I have something very specific in common, and that is we were both stationed at Malmstrom Air Force Base. He was one of the missileers that was present at Malmstrom. He was in the capsule, what we call it, at a launch facility or an LF. And essentially, this was one of the most famous and well-documented UFO cases in American history, or really the world. What happened was the security forces guys up on top of the LF started reporting down to the guys in the capsule below, so Captain Robert Salas, that there were these really strange bright lights, and those quote-unquote lights caused the missileers to lose communication with the ICBMs in the ground, that they're there to turn the key and launch, which is a bad thing, and led a lot of these guys to think, well, maybe it's the Russians doing something to turn off our first strike capability. Anyway, it's one of the most well-documented UAP cases in the world. If you know anything about Great Falls, Montana, you know that the UAP lore is all over there. Even their minor league baseball team is called the Voyagers, and their mascot is an alien named Orbit. But anyway, so yeah, we get into this topic quite a bit. We've had a few episodes on aliens, but that one, talking to Captain Robert Salas, was pretty dope because the guy is pretty ancient, getting up there. Like I said, he was a young captain back in the 1960s. So just to give you an idea of just how old he is, but he's been on the disclosure stage as well. I think he has been to Congress at least twice to give testimony about the Malmstrom incident. But we got to talk to him. That was a really fun episode. And I think you may get the added benefit of seeing Chris with a mustache if you watch that episode too. So
We're working on it. It's coming back.
Yeah, exactly.
The wife ain't happy, but anything for the fire fam.
True. Rogue Dog says, so what about Face? So why hate on her? You don't make any sense. Why do I hate on Candace Owens? Is that what you're asking? I'll give you an honest answer. I already did. She doesn't back anything up with facts. Everything she says is "trust me, bro," or "I had a dream." But anyway, in a non-Martin Luther King Jr. way,
I had a dream. The Diamond Dog. Hi, hit the follow button.
What's up? Yeah, please, I appreciate it. Anyway, let's talk about Timmy Waltz. Actually, you know what? Let's palate cleanse real fast, and then we'll talk about Timmy.
I love it, dude. Let's come back up. Let's see what we got going on in here. This one's for all my my military guys and my vets out there. So when your sister is a soldier, but you know your Third Amendment, right? Chat, let me know what the Third Amendment says. Nope.
No quarter. Get out of here. We're not housing troops in here. I don't have to. That's right. Get the fuck out of here. Dude, that's a if you know, niche joke right there.
It really is, though.
It's true. Anyway, all right. Like we said, right here, Radio Sack says all those Congress hearings in 2020, 2022 seemed retarded and fake to me. I mean, nothing really has come out of that except more speculation and confusion, which says to me that the majority, well, I can't say the majority, shouldn't say the majority, a large portion of those people are controlled opposition there to just murky the waters. Disclosure was never going to happen without that. And I'm interested to see how it develops over time. But anyway, like I said, got to talk about Tim Waltz, him putting the Minnesota National Guard on standby to support Minnesota law enforcement, whatever the fuck that means. But look, there have been times in American history, right, where the National Guard has been activated to stand up against a federal order or support a federal order and using them, or the state's using them, the federal government is using them. You think about school integrations back in the day where we racially integrated those schools, but there has never been a precedent like this where a standing governor activates the National Guard with the implication that he's going to use them to stand in the way of federal law enforcement. And in this case, obviously, ICE. But to be quite honest, man, Tim Walz is putting National Guard troops in a dangerous path. And frankly, it's one he's never even allowed himself to be put in front of, considering he bailed out of the first opportunity he had to deploy when the global war on terror kicked off. But to me, this is both political posturing and showing that he's doing something to the goobs that are there in Minnesota. And obviously, it's also a way to interfere, in my opinion, with fraud investigations, because he's giving the U.S. government something else to have to fucking worry about with the ICE guys trying to navigate their way through not just Minnesota law enforcement, not just Minnesota protesters, but the Minnesota National Guard as well. And that'll be an interesting thing. I know those guys have got to be sitting at home or wherever they're at in the armory talking about what the fuck this actually means for them. But dealing with the presence of the National Guard troops and making sure something bad doesn't happen there, this is something they're going to have to consider. And the other irony here too is that I haven't really seen anybody talk about, I'm not going to lie, is you're not going to hear any of these Minnesota protesters complaining about posse comitatus like they have been all last year when it came to the National Guard being used by Donald Trump everywhere else. I guess it's cool when fucking Tim Walz does it again after he had National Guard troops shoot paintballs at people on their doorstep during COVID. But anyway, I think it's time that Donald Trump federalized those troops and not even give them the fucking opportunity and maybe even invoke the Insurrection Act. So
I was saying the exact same thing. It would be so easy for Donald Trump to just be like, "Oh, you're gonna use like deploy the National Guard, JK, they're federalized. Boys ain't going anywhere. Stay at home. You're on federal orders. Don't worry about even coming out of your house, boys. I'll put you on federal orders, and you can just chill at your house for 2 weeks of vacation." I think that would be the biggest like big dick move ever, and like, he absolutely should. And it'll get tied up in legality, but that literally doesn't matter because then ICE and CBP are going to continue operations, which is exactly like what they should do.
Yeah.
You know, and sorry if I can keep going to Brandon's point earlier. And I wanted to come back around to that question about all of this stuff that we're seeing and what it's actually supposed to be distracting from. I think, well, first of all, let me just say this. I think that you are hopelessly naive if you can't tell that everything that's happening is completely and totally astroturfed. It is not organic. Even the woman that lost her life, and I'm not happy about any type of loss of life. I want to be very, very clear about that. I'm not going to make jokes about her or anything like that. It was a serious situation. I'm glad that the law enforcement officer that she hit is okay. But even through all of that, she was from Colorado. She is one of these protest tourists that hop around the country, right, that are being funded by left-wing NGOs, by like George Soros type money in order to cause agitation, in order to stir up these things. It was reported that she was following ICE around for hours that day before this event absolutely happened. This was a complete and total setup. They were looking for opportunities to create friction points with ICE. I don't think that she thought that she was going to lose her life. I don't think that she thought it was going to go that far. And I'm not even sure. I'm not even sure that she actually meant to hit the officer, but she did. So that's really moot about whether she meant to or not, because she did, right? I want to be very, very clear about that. But either way, I think that the intent there was that they were going to create a friction point with ICE. Her lesbian wife or whatever it was hopped out of the car, got everything up and ready to go on TikTok. And we're going to look at all this later on. By the way, the body cam footage came out, so I really don't need to play it, but anyway, all that being said, I think that she thought that she was going to create a friction point. They were going to have a run-in with ICE, and then she was going to speed away, middle finger out the window, right? And then ICE was going to go about their day. The whole point was to create friction points with them. The fact that a protester or an agitator got killed, the left wing, I'm going to call them financiers and facilitators, literally could not be happier about the optics that they got in order to justify what happened quite literally hours after that. Remember all the pallets of bricks that were getting dropped off in Minneapolis during the George Floyd riots. Remember all of the people showing up in U-Haul vans and jumping out the back with their Antifa garb on and their pre-made signs and all that stuff. All of this stuff is astroturfed. It's not organic. It is set up to be, and they got their justification to do the thing that they wanted to do. I would contest, and Brandon, you can tell me what you think about this, probably the only thing that would have made them any happier is if it would have been a black lady versus a white lady.
Maybe.
Quite literally the only thing, I think. But that's me being,
I agree
at this point.
There's some irony in there too, that if she'd have been killed by an illegal migrant or Somali there in Minnesota, that it wouldn't even have hit the the national news. It would have been kept local, right?
Yeah.
The other thing with this too, you and I have like broken down how propaganda is proliferated pretty often. And one of the things that we've talked about before is like red and blue team analysis when it comes to propaganda and the way things proliferate online.
Yeah.
And so we talked about red team, right? Charlie Kirk was a martyr for red team, right? And I'm not saying that as like a way to gloss over things. This is just like an objective intelligence style analysis, right? Well,
Yeah.
blue has a martyr, right? Blue has a martyr in this person, Aaron, right? Aaron Good, is that her name?
I'll look it up to be
Whatever.
sure.
I know her last name was Good. Anyway,
Yeah.
so she is the complete and total epitome and
It
representation.
was a big dick moment if you got her name wrong. Say her name, and you're like, yeah, it's good something.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, I do know it's good, but
Yeah.
she is the exact representation of that population of people. And we just had this
Renee,
conversation.
got it.
Renee.
Good.
Okay. Yeah. She's the representation of the large swath of people in this country who are out here doing this sort of thing. And it is, I'm sorry, it's awful. It's affluent white liberals, right? That's exactly what it is. Out here, what are you doing? You are standing in the way of federal law enforcement, trying to get rid of illegal immigrants and get them out of this country. You are in a state rife with fraud. And like we talked about with Brianna last night, right? Elon Musk said that when he was at Doge, that he estimated that approximately 20% of the national budget at least was fraud. And that came out to about $1.5 trillion. And if you look at how much money Americans paid in taxes, the fiscal year of 2024, it came out to like just over 2.5 roughly. Okay. And so you're talking about if you're able to eliminate all of this fraud, get out all of these illegal migrants, like the Somali population here in the United States, 70% of them are on welfare. Okay. And they're lying to you about daycare and they're lying to you about autism. Okay. As an example, you get rid of all this fraud. That is 60% of that shit that goes right back into the American government, the American budget to pay down the deficit, more money that you don't have to pay in taxes. What could you do with 60% more of your money? Right. But they want to go out there and drop their kid off at school. Well, not even, it's her kid, not even the other woman's kid, right? Drop a 6-year-old off at school, go hunt down ICE all day, and then wind up getting popped in the head at 10 o'clock in the morning. Like, I feel bad for the kid who is now motherless and fatherless because his dad is dead too. I learned that by reading about that. But no, like this is exactly what this is. This is a complete and total breakdown of both the actual, what we look at and learn about things ontologically, but completely and totally ideologically as well. And it just don't get it. Like it doesn't make any sense to go out there and defend the people that are actively stealing from you. So that's my take on that shit.
Well, has anybody caught any footage? And guys, let me know. And if you find it, put it in the Discord server because I want to see it. Has anybody caught any footage of anybody from the Somali community at all in Minneapolis making a statement about her death? I would really like to see it because I haven't seen footage one of that. And that's supposedly who she's there to protect, right? Have they said a damn thing about it?
Not that I've seen.
That's what I'm saying. If you guys have a clip, send it to me because I would rather be
publicly.
I would rather be correct. Yeah, make a public statement about it. I would rather be correct than just grandstanding. But I haven't seen it.
The Minneapolis St. Paul Leering Center would like to express our condolences for. Right? No, you're right. That's it.
Yeah,
exactly. But that's the way it is, man. That's entitlement. That's how entitlement works. I saw a video today. I should have saved it for the episode, but it was a woman being interviewed by another like street journalist, essentially, and she was saying that she feels bad for mourning Renee Good's death because she was white. Like how entrenched in Marxist identity politics do you have to be to not even give a fuck, right? Like that's just, dude, that's it, man. These people are insane. They are insane and so ideologically captured that they can't even feel empathy. Like that right there. Everything is a binary. Everything is extreme all the time. That's why you say something to them and they immediately go into total shock about it. And Nick Freitas, actually, I love Nick Freitas. He had a video today where he was talking about this. And he was saying that that both Republicans and Democrats watched this happen. We all saw the same video. He said Republicans heard about it, and whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, you immediately made assumptions about the situation. Yeah. And he said that
this was the video that I based my reel off of, which is why I made that one that I sent you. Yeah.
Nick Freitas said that if you were a Republican or a Democrat, you automatically made assumptions about what happened. And I agree with him. If you were a Republican, you assumed probably that this person was interfering with federal law enforcement and they died because of it. If you were a Democrat, then you automatically assumed that it was just ICE and that it was just somebody who was protesting and that automatically ICE was evil and that the protester was in the right. And that's what you believed. But more than likely, if you were a Republican, you said, well, I want to see what happened. I want to see the video before I make a final determination. Even though I made an assumption about what I heard, I want to see the evidence and then I'll make a call. And ever since the evidence has come out, and there's been more and more evidence as the days have gone on, the left has not changed their opinion about what happened. And that is exactly the perfect way to look at this. It's just the reality now. You're presented with facts and evidence and you're not changing your opinion. It's extremely Orwellian. And he said that the society that distances itself from truth will get angry the more they hear it. That's what he said. So anyway, I know you were trying to make a point too. Bond says bring back lobotomies. Maybe. We'll see.
100%. No. You were good, man. Run with that ball. I'm all about it. I am by the way, trying to get in touch with Nick Freitas this year.
That would be pretty dope
awesome
if we could have Nick on.
Yeah. That would be
John Lovell. There's a lot of people we're trying to get it come on the show. But anyway, we could talk about JD Vance next. There'll be palate cleanse. I don't know. Do we have anything to talk about from Rumble tonight, or
talk about from Rumble?
Yeah, I just meant an ad.
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah, now's as good of a time as any. But
get that shit out of the way.
Give me a second to tee it up for sure. Never stop talking.
The Diamond Dog says he heard Orwell was paid by the CIA. I've not heard that. I don't know. He was pretty prophetic, in my opinion. I enjoy George Orwell's content.
Right.
Yeah. I also enjoy Aldous Huxley and a lot of other people. There's a book you guys should read. I reference it pretty often, but it's called On Propaganda by Jacques Ellul. It's a very, very good book. It gives you the breakdown on people's need for propaganda. There's a weird and gross symbiosis between the propagandist and the propagandee. The propagandist needs you to listen so that he has a role, and then you need that propaganda to be the echo chamber and the things that you want to hear. So you come back for more. He gives it to you. It's just this really fucked up thing. So they need you as much as you need them, which really just shows you the power dynamic there. It would all go away if you just stopped listening to it, but it is what it is. But let's do it.
What it is. All right. Yeah, you guys are going to see a QR code pop up on your screen for Emerald Med. Now's a good time if you want to go drain the main vein or top off your drink. Just don't get too far away that you can't hear me, because I want to tell you that I want to share a quick story about a family supporting this channel. Their father had a rare form of cognitive decline due to his military service that made him unable to work. Their mother had to stop working too so she could care for him. Their sons discovered new U.S. Library of Medicine studies on various mushroom blends that could significantly support cognitive function. So they began creating a complex mushroom supplement based on that research, not just to help their own family, but to help others. They nearly quit after multiple setbacks, plus having their first big batch stolen. Fast forward, now they speak at medical conventions nationwide. Their company is called Emerald Med, and their product massively supports brain, immune, blood, plus heart function. Your cognitive function optimizes everything you do. You can get knees, heart, and kidneys replaced, but you can't get a new brain. So investing in the only brain you'll have for the rest of your life matters. If you want to support a company that supports our channel and free speech with their marketing, and you want to try a strong mushroom supplement, they're running a New Year's deal. Just click the link below and use the code 30%. Click the link below and use the code for 30% off today. It's currently the most concentrated mushroom gummy in the US. It has up to 400 compounds and is rich in vitamins and minerals. With 6 formulas in one, it's like getting 6 supplements for the price of one. You can click the link below to try Emerald Med's mushroom gummies, 30% off today. I am not a doctor and I cannot give you guys medical advice, but I will say this. There are a lot of guys in the military community, and I think that Brandon would back me up on this, that are starting to look into mushrooms specifically for help with cognitive function, especially for things like TBI and post-concussive. So there is a lot of research to back this up. I didn't just choose this ad willy-nilly. Definitely go give it a look, even if you decide not to use this company. But here, they're doing it right. So go check out Emerald Med if you guys like. Thanks for supporting the channel. Thank you to Rumble. And there we go. And I'm never just going to sell you guys shit without coming up for just a little bit of air because you know how we do things over here. So let's see what we've got in the tank.
Oh, damn, dude, Oregon getting spanked.
Yeah, dude. Oh, wow. 56-15.
Can we watch that again? Just watch that again.
100%. That one, if you blinked, you missed it.
For real, he wasn't blinking.
Yeah, no.
Caught in fucking 4K, bro.
My boy was fighting for his life, dude.
Bro, right? I'm old, but I am not dead, right? Le Diamond Dog says ChatGPT told me his books were financed by the CIA. That's interesting. You should drop some more tidbits from what ChatGPT says about that. That's interesting. I've never heard that before.
Word.
Yeah.
Tracy Bailey, thanks for the follow.
Yeah, absolutely, dude.
700
Project
people
says
hanging
one
out.
more time. Listen, man, there's free boobs online. Okay, if that's what you're into. O'Connor's right. Stan jumped in again. He was here on Check Fire. I appreciate you coming back, dude.
Hey,
for real. Stuff like that means a lot, man. I just said
went
at the top of the show.
I went and checked out his podcast, checked out his channel, dude. I give you a follow.
Yeah. We did too over here, obviously. Yeah, no. Thanks for coming back, man. I said at the top of the show that there's even more return followers all the time and jumping in the chat, so I appreciate it. But
Heck yeah.
I think the next thing we got coming up here is we're going to talk about the new assistant AG position to investigate fraud, right? Or do you want to talk about Colombia? You want to talk about Colombia?
We can do Colombia. Yeah, I got it pulled up right here. So this is pretty interesting. Actually, I'm going to start with the DJT announcement on it, and then maybe we'll circle around into what's happening in the country. So El Presidente Donaldo Trumpo, this is what he had. This is what he had to say about it.
Knuckles gets it.
We've knocked out 97% of the drugs coming in by water, and we are going to start now hitting land with regard to the cartels. The cartels are running Mexico. It's very, very sad to watch and see what's happened to that country, but the cartels are running, and they're killing 250, 300,000 people in our country every single year. The drugs, it's horrible. It's devastated families. You know, you lose a child or a parent. I mean, parents are dying too with drugs. So we've done a really good job. We're knocking it down. The numbers are really getting to be, they're always going to be too high if you have one person, but they're going down just like the border. The border was a total mess for years. I did it the first time very quickly, and this time I did it even better because this was a bigger mess. This was a border like no other probably in the history of the world. There's never been a border like that when anybody could just walk into your country.
The border's ostensibly really closed now.
Closed. You can't come in, and nobody comes. Nobody even tries.
Yeah, thanks, Sean Hannity. I know. You. Never mind.
Well, like I said at the top of the show, right? We are a former military cop and a Green Beret just trying to podcast. You know what I mean? Couple of brain cells rubbing together. But we do have, like I said, a resident Green Beret, and these guys are definitely going to be involved in whatever the fuck's going on in Central and South America. So we're gonna let Chris talk a little bit about what's going on in Colombia, give his 2 cents because there's nobody better on this show to talk about. So.
Well, first thing I want to say too is for all the people that said that it absolutely had nothing to do with the drugs, it was all about the oil in Venezuela. This move by the Trump administration, I think, pushes back on that. In that he is, it may. I'm not saying it has nothing to do with the oil because that would be unfair. But you know, 2 things you can walk and chew bubble gum at the same time, and one move can have multiple positive effects, right? So Donald Trump did come out and say that there's a possibility of us doing ground operations in Colombia. One of the things that happened when Maduro was extradited to the United States in one of the most badass military operations that I've ever seen, or probably most of us will ever see in our lives, which is pretty damn cool, was that Tren de Aragua and a lot of the cartels pushed back over the border back into a friendly Colombia. A lot of people don't understand when you get in those mountainous jungle countries that those borders are very porous. And because those countries are largely ruled over by the narco state, they have a lot of freedom of maneuver back inside the wood line, unlike what cartels like that would have in first world countries like the United States, right? Because of that, Donald Trump started big dicking the prime minister down there in Colombia about doing operations. And basically at first he said, like, well, we're going to do it whether you help us or not. After that, the prime minister backtracked and then started talking about doing joint operations. Now, there's three types of operations that the United States could do in a foreign country, right? There's what's called unilateral operations, and see what just happened in Venezuela. That's a unilateral operation. We crossed the border. We did a thing, the Abbottabad raid in Pakistan. We got bin Laden. Unilateral operation. We're not working with anybody else. We come, we break things, we kill people, we leave. All right. Then you have what's called parallel operations, and you have what's called joint operations. And this is kind of an important thing to understand, because if you're going to work with a foreign military, you have to have, obviously, or the foreign country, if you're going to perform operations inside of the borders, obviously you have to have the TBI brain. That country has to allow you inside their borders to perform operations. Right now, everything that we've talked about leading up to now with the Monroe Doctrine conversations and everything that we've been having about the legalities of the president deploying troops, all of that still is in play here. If the president wants to conduct unilateral operations, he can still order the military to do so. And then he has 48 hours, right, to let Congress know that he did a thing. But if it's a unilateral operation, quick in, quick out, by the time Congress knows, right, just like what we saw in Venezuela, usually it's done. If the president wants to have any type of lasting military presence in a foreign country, he still has the 48 hours to let them know. Congress has 30 days or 60 days, to deliberate and get back to him under the War Powers Resolution of 1973. I'm kind of rehashing everything that we know. And if they decide against it, no, you can't do that, then the president has 30 days to withdraw the troops. But it's important to understand that in small scale operations like this, you can get a hell of a lot of things done inside of 90 days, and it's all still completely legal. So I need everybody to kind of understand that if we start doing either parallel or joint operations with the Colombian military, like the president's got 90 days, well, technically 92 days if he stretches all the way out that 48 hours of letting Congress know that the military is operating there to break things, kill people, steal drugs, and then come home. And you can get a lot of shit done doing that. But back to parallel and joint operations. Parallel operations, which legally is a lot easier to conduct, says that you are in a foreign country and you are operating in that foreign country with the permission, that's the word I was trying to look for earlier, of that host nation government. However, you are operating apart from their government and apart from their military. We are conducting missions side by side, but we're not sharing intel. We don't share any command structure. We're not sharing assets like choppers or vehicles or anything like that. We're not working together. We are just working in the same space side by side. And that's important to understand, because part of the legality of going into a country is you have to set up what's called a status of forces agreement with the host nation, or SOFA. You'll hear military guys say SOFA a lot. And that's basically the host nation saying you can be in the country, because remember, if we go work in Colombia, prime minister has to go to his legislative body. He has to get them to agree to it, just like the president's got to go to Congress to get them to agree to it. And then as they start talking back and forth, the two nations separately and then eventually together, that what is it going to look like as we work together thing becomes really the large sticking point, right? It's a lot easier to say, hey, we're going to work together. And so now I'm sorry, my brain.
Good, brother. Slow down. You're good.
So now we're talking about joint operations. So parallel operations is pretty easy to do. Host nation says, yes, you can be here. Yes, you can send this many people. And then we're like, cool, we're in your sandbox. We're playing, but we're not playing together. We're just playing in the sandbox at the same time. Now we're talking about joint operations. So now we start talking about, okay, how are we going to jointly work together? And then in there, you have like a few tiers that you can work in. Kind of the easiest thing to do is to say, hey, we are going to deploy intelligence assets, and we are going to share with you the intelligence that we get so that your guys can go out and conduct the operations. It's very easy. We're giving you a lot of stuff. And then what we get in return for it is you go conduct hopefully successful operations. And in this case, it's anti-drug operations and you're successful in it. From there, you can kind of start tiering up. Hey, we're going to start loaning you like rotary wing assets for medivacs or troop transport, right? Or vehicles to transport around the jungle or other things like that, right? We'll send you the vehicles. We'll maybe send you some drivers, but that is like literally all we're doing. All right. We're not participating in hostilities. The drivers are not they are combatants. They're still allowed to defend themselves in the event that something like that happens, but they're not offensively conducting operations. They're just kind of your taxi drivers or moving men, weapons, and material around for you, right? We're filling in gaps that you don't have because you lack these certain capabilities, right? Kind of thing. From there, you can graduate up to what's called advise and assist missions. And this is a thing that I know quite a bit about from being both in the Green Berets and then also in civil affairs. So here, for example, what it would look like is most likely 7th Special Forces Group is going to send Green Berets down to work with law enforcement and military in Colombia. And they're going to do just that. They advise them and they assist them, right? And so that assist is going to have legal caps on it. You're allowed to, sometimes it looks like you can go out onto target with them, but you are not allowed to get this close to hostilities when they're happening. You have to stay this far away and provide battlefield communications for them or so on and so forth, right? But that really is going to depend on what the rules of engagement are and all that stuff that gets hashed out during the status of forces agreement and all that jazz. And then finally, the highest tier, and this is the hardest thing legally to get between two countries, is a complete and total joint operation. And that would look like standing up a task force. That task force would be commanded by either a host nation military general or a United States military general or admiral of some kind, depending on what military assets are working with them. And then all troops up under that command is going to answer to that leader. And now we are basically meshed. We are joint together. We are fighting together. The units are completely integrated, and we're going out, we're kicking ass, and we're doing good things. So that's kind of what we're looking at in a nutshell. I know I kind of rambled there for a little bit, but I think that gives a pretty good picture of when Donald Trump says that we're going to conduct possibly joint operations with Colombian military. That's what you're looking at, and that's all the stuff that's going to go into it. And I do have a video here of local news talking about it from their point of view, if you guys want to check this out, unless you have anything to add to that, Brandon.
Oh, there's nothing I can add. Yeah, you're good.
All right.
Now, Colombia's President Gustavo Petro has agreed with President Donald Trump to take joint action against cocaine smuggling guerrillas on the border with Venezuela. This comes after the two leaders held their first phone call amid escalating tensions after Trump had threatened military action against Colombia following the ouster of Nicolas Maduro. Colombia's Interior Minister Armando Benedetti said that Trump and Petro, in nearly an hour-long call, committed to taking joint actions against the National Liberation Army, which is the ELN, Colombia's last remaining major armed rebel group. The Interior Minister said that Petro even asked Trump to help strike hard at the National Liberation Army rebel group on the border with Venezuela, adding that guerrillas must be attacked even in their rear as well as on the Cambodian side.
There's an order to attack the ELN along the border with full force. The protection they had over in Venezuela is no longer there, so it's possible to carry out much bolder, much more promising military actions, and in that regard, there was also a conversation with President Trump.
Colombians welcomed a phone call between Petro and Donald Trump amid a diplomatic spat, and even called on the government to lean on dialogue and avoid any further escalation. This after tensions had escalated following the capture of Nicolas Maduro. Trump had threatened and said that he could launch a similar military operation in Colombia as well, which prompted a sharp rebuke from Petro.
Mm-hmm. So one thing I want to jump in and add from that is obviously we've seen people like bitching and screaming about us conducting unilateral operations in Venezuela and how we had no right to do it and blah, 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 blah. But here you see a real world example of just how effective that has been, not only in the military side of things, but also in the diplomatic side of things, because Trump literally like dropped the hammer on Venezuela and frog walked Maduro from Venezuela back to New York City. Right. And then turned around. And when the president of Colombia said, you're not going to come in here and do that, he said, okay, then we'll just fly in there and do it ourselves. And what did he immediately do? Immediately folded like a cheap suit, dude, and said, oh, okay, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. And like, just chef's kiss, dude. This is American diplomacy. This is the Monroe Doctrine. We are the big bad, like this is our hemisphere. And you will capitulate to American foreign policy, whatever is best for us. And right now we have drugs that's flowing out of your country, that's coming into our country. And we don't like that. It's killing Americans. So either you do something about it or I'm going to come in there and do something about it. And by the way, source, see 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And to build on that, like we have been over the past couple of weeks and on social media, the Roosevelt corollary says, if you invite foreign influence or transnational crime into Central and South America, the United States reserves the right to go in there and remove those things, which is exactly what this is. 1904, TR put that out there, the Roosevelt corollary. You can go look that up. But this is exactly what's going on. The Western Hemisphere has become a playground for transnational crime, for enemies of the United States, the Chinese specifically. If you go look at maps, even from 20 years ago, of trading partners with the United States versus the Chinese, that map looks vastly different today. So this is just an example of something Chris and I talk a lot about, and that is that many things could be true at once, right? Just because something is the way it is doesn't mean that there aren't inherently bad things within it, or if something appears to be bad doesn't mean there aren't inherently good things in it. I think we've all been trained over a lot, really, the past, since the internet, social media, and algorithms, that things are binary, that things tend to go to the extreme. That's what people do. When they see something, they immediately make it into a binary, whether it's good or bad or true or false or whatever, without getting into the nuance about it, which is something you need to train your brain how to do, to take a step back. Does this make me feel a big emotion? Yes, it does. Evaluate, tear those things down and get into what's good and what's bad, make an opinion. That's okay. But the United States, as it were, smacking its big dick on the table with some of these countries, especially ones that are pumping drugs in the United States and are doing business with our enemies. And, I don't want a Chinese corporation to build a port or a base, right? And not going to call it a base until we go to a hot war with the Chinese. And then now they've got 4 deployed locations in the Western Hemisphere in both Central and South America, right? This is just the broader things that the US government is thinking about, the military thinks about and plans for. So, I mean, does it, this whole argument, why are we here? It's not America first. Like, well, at the end of the day, you start to understand these things and break them down. Well, yeah, it is, right? If you live on a street and there are several crack houses, isn't that good for the neighborhood and good for your home to get rid of those crack houses? Can that not be your home first? Of course it is, right? You're getting rid of bad things and making it easier for things to get better. Now, obviously, the energy with which we're handling a lot of these bad faith actors around the world, I want to see, and don't think we have seen enough of the same energy focused inward on the bad faith actors here in the United States. But again, back to the example of 2 things can be true at once. I like what I'm seeing geopolitically and the way that President Trump is enacting both the Monroe Doctrine and the Roosevelt corollary, and that I am disappointed with. I have not seen enough politicians being fraud walked or any at all, and that's a disappointment to me. So that's my take on that.
Yeah,
thank you for the follow, Silver Wizard.
The Tankilla. Sorry, I canceled you out. I'll let you put that one. Yeah, has been selling drugs, you dopes. Hey, man, not talking about the rogue foreign policy arm of the government, the CIA. I am not naive to that. I understand. Hit me up sometime and talk to me about JFK. I'm totally with you on that one. Just understand that what I'm talking about right here is this small topic right here. So we can't talk about everything all the time. But
exactly.
Nope, I am not naive to that. Trust me. All right. Anyway, I got one more for you here, just wrapping this one up, and then we'll clear some Rumble rants that I saw drop in. But this is just a continuation of the same segment.
This is a good point here too. Go ahead. Sorry.
Colombia's most wanted rebel leader summoned other guerrilla commanders too to a meeting to discuss the capture of Nicolas Maduro by the U.S. military. In a video that was sent to media on 8th of Jan, Ivan Mordisco, leader of the remnants of the dissolved FARC armed movement, called on other guerrilla commanders to discuss what he termed as being faced by a common enemy.
I want everybody to like notice how well armed.
Right.
Obviously. So
Well,
anyway.
even something as basic as a salute, right? Do you see the diversity of which those salutes were rendered? Now go look
Yeah.
at U.S. troops in line. You know, I get it's a salute, but you know these are all really, really small things. I actually like this point right here from one Laura Blades. They say that I think the president has more freedom to act internationally than domestically. Certainly, when you have district court judges who can implement a national injunction from their very small part of the country, yeah, certainly, I agree with that very much.
Definitely.
Yeah, the FBI. Deborah says the CIA isn't for America. Oh wait, what was it? The FBI? Yes, the FBI. Yeah, COINTELPRO. Another example, right?
Indeed. All right. Anyway, going to clear a couple of Rumble rants here. Alicia Victoria, thanks for the $1. Always coming in hard. I'm pretty sure none of these dumbasses think it's possible they would lose their life for playing stupid games. How many people have faced actual consequences? That's a really good point. And that came up in our conversation with Brianna last night. Really excited to show that pod to you guys tomorrow. But we talked a lot about Thomas Sowell. And one of the points that Thomas Sowell makes is that when you live with entitlements in your life, let's say like this is baseline zero where you have nothing, and then all of a sudden you start getting special treatment or entitlements and you go from here to here, this becomes your new zero, right? And you can also think about this as like if we have all these laws on the books but they've never been enforced against me, well, that counts as special treatment. Now I think my zero is up here, but then as soon as the law does start applying to me, now I feel like I'm actually being oppressed because my entire life I've been allowed to operate here. And that's one of the things that you're seeing 100%. But we need to get back to the place where the law is equally applied across the board. I'm sick and tired of seeing it apply to some and not to others.
I agree with you. I'm going to address a comment in the chat here from Deborah. She says, Trump opened the front door for any country to go into another country to get their leader. I vehemently disagree, because explain to me another country that has the capabilities of the United States to go and do what we just did, right? So, and if you're talking about setting precedents, I mean, this isn't even the first time in history that's happened. So precedent is just, well, how far back do you want to go, right? Because this sort of things has happened all the time.
I referenced Abbottabad back in 2010, and the entire country was waving American flags and chanting USA. And we did the exact same thing there. We unilaterally went into Pakistan without Pakistan's knowledge or approval and schwacked a Saudi. So that's just not even accurate. And then finally, MP Shiner 5150, welcome back, Brandon. Nice ball cap. I agree. I saw your other comment too about me putting on Cardinal stuff, and that's just
he's not gonna
it's not gonna happen.
Are you a Brewers fan? I can't remember.
I am
just,
tangentially,
because
I'll root for him because I'm from there, but at my heart, I'm a Reds fan, and that's just goes back to my childhood.
Yeah,
I was born in Cincinnati, so before we moved to Wisconsin. But anyway, all right, that clears all the Rumble rants, guys. Thanks for the Rumble rants. By the way, if you want to absolutely be sure that your comment gets interacted with, or you want to take control of the conversation, any rant down to $1 is going to get pulled up, and we will go with it. But that's all I got for that story. I guess you want to come up for a little bit of air?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, let's see what else we got in here.
Oh, you got a Brewers fan right here. How about that?
Hey, Brew Crew. All right. Me in 5th grade, whenever I got a mechanical pencil.
I love this video.
Big facts, dude.
Bro. I love that. So
if you know,
the violin music, dude. Oh yeah, absolutely. Anywhere on your body is just fun to be like, you'll close your eye and stab your eyelid, you know?
I know, dude. We were there.
Everybody liked it. It was popular. As a good palate cleanser. Hell yeah.
100%. All right. I think that takes us from Colombia into, I got a video here about the vice president.
Yeah. Assistant AG for fraud. Well, maybe we'll see
Good
more of our friend
context.
Andrew Bailey.
Let's go.
Mr. Vice President, can you explain the difference between this Associate Attorney General and a special counsel? And do you envision this being a permanent position or having more of a limited scope?
Well, it's going to be permanent until we get to the bottom of what's going on. So I think it's going to last for at least the remainder of the administration. What's different about it from a special counsel is, if you remember, the Jack Smith case where the special counsel was found unconstitutional, one of the big issues there is that that person was not an appointed person. Completely aside from all the other issues, that the person was a lunatic and that the case had no merit, there was a fundamental constitutional issue, which is that he had not been appointed by the president and he had not been confirmed by the United States Senate. An assistant attorney general, what that's going to allow us to do is appoint this person, have them confirmed by the Senate. That's one difference. The more substantive difference is that this person is going to be part of a very broad interagency White House that's being led from the president of the United States on down. And that's going to give him the resources, the access to material and information to make this person more effective. I think a lot of people have asked, how are you really going to get to the heart of the fraud? We've been asking ourselves that question for the past couple of months, and we think this is the critical piece at the Department of Justice to really ramp this fraud investigation into high gear.
Yeah, my first question about this new position, first off, right, I want to know who is going to field that position. I certainly hope Andrew Bailey has some sort of hand in it. I love Andrew Bailey. We
Yeah.
have had him on the podcast before. He used to be the Attorney General for the state of Missouri, the guy who's suing or sued. He's no longer the AG there, the CCP. I hope he has a hand in something like this, but my question is, how are you going to give this office the teeth it needs to go after it, right? Because even the president gets nationally injunctioned by some fucking loser out in the ninth Circuit District Court, right, about whatever it is. And yeah, that slows the shit down for a day or two and they get right back to business or whatever, maybe longer. But how are you going to give this office true teeth?
I mean, that's a really good question, and I feel like I don't have enough context to answer it, because I'm also worried about Pam Bondi that sits over him. So it's all well and good, and this turns into the special counsel thing, and we saw it against Donald Trump from the Democratic side too, is always one of those things where it's and we see it in the military all the time. It's like, look, I'm doing a thing, and you're like, oh, that's all well and good, but it's largely just for show a lot of the time. And I certainly don't want this to be the case, but also this fraud that's being uncovered because they're going in and actually looking for it is, like the AG doesn't have enough time to do everything that she's doing, plus do this. So it does make sense to me in this instance that it's like, this is too much work for one person. We need to dedicate a person to this. Got it. But I have the same question as you. And were I in the press pool, like that's one of the things I would have asked the vice president, is like exactly what you just said, because I do want to know.
It's interesting that those questions don't get asked, right? I think there's like an unhealthy amount of assumption about the efficacy of establishing a new office for that, or either that or the assumption that it's going to be totally limp, right? Which is why you asked that question. You mentioned Pam Bondi. That's a fantastic point, because I don't trust her at all. Not a big fan in any way, shape, or form.
No.
The way she handled and lied about the Epstein files is very disappointing, among a handful of other things.
People don't forget.
Not happy with Kash Patel either. Really happy to see, right, like we said, Andrew Bailey there. He's been pretty quiet so far. I think maybe there's bigger plans for him, and that's why he's been so quiet. I'm kind of hoping that that's why. But the one thing I can think of as far as teeth goes is you're going to have to give this office special permission to work directly with local investigations, right? Like fusion cells, things like this. And again, like, I'm not a big fan of fusion cells either. I don't necessarily really approve of the way information gets funneled to local police departments and then the way it gets used, right? I mean, fusion cells have notoriously gotten information through illegal FISA court warrants and things like that. So like, this is one of these areas where I see both the good and the bad. I just hope that whatever they do, they figure out a way to, like I said before, truly give it teeth, and then infiltrate where they need to infiltrate, because because of the separation of powers, right? The separation of the states and the separation from the federal government. This is going to be a hard office to run. It's going to be a hard office to actually get enough again, like firm evidence, a firm case to actually bring some of this fraud out, especially when they start going up against California. This is going to be one. That's going to be one of these states. I think Minnesota's fucked because of how incompetent Tim Walz is and the apparatus around him. But I hate Gavin Newsom, but what he's got going on there is a fuckload more sophisticated than whatever the hell is going on in Minnesota. Certainly, even though it's all out in the open, it's just like one of these things where California has the money and the size to sort of build up the barriers they need to keep a lot of this shit out. But I'm interested to see. I think that like, to start making a determination, the first step is to see who they put in this office. But what is going to have to happen as well is that office going to have the support from President Trump, and it's going to require him to also slam his dick on the table with some of these things too, and make sure that office not just gets teeth, but is retaining those teeth. And we need to have a conversation nationally as well about national injunctions and district court judges. Again, right? We talked about Trump is freezing aid going to Minnesota because he's trying to stop fraud. And what happened? District court judge throws up a block on that, and now it's not happening until they're able to adjudicate all of that and figure it out. So that's crap. That's a form of tyranny. It's a fault in the system that we have. One man in somewhere around the country enacting that much power nationally and getting in the way of other states. Right. And when you're talking about national fraud, you're getting out in front of all 50 states, should not have that much power. That is the definition of tyranny. But Leo's here. What's up, Leo?
Leo, I hope you're calling in tonight, dude. Well, that makes for a good time, boss man. If you do want to go do whatever it is you've got to do, guys, you're going to see QR code pop up on the screen. Thank you guys so much for letting us pay the bills. Like we've been telling you time and time again, we are trying to get to the place 2026 is going to be our year to be able to eventually, by Labor Day, guys, help me pray that we're able to start doing 5 nights of content for you a week. But if you guys do want to go top off your drink or hit the bathroom or do whatever you want to do, don't get too far away that you can't hear me, because I want to tell you, new research says over 80% of Americans and 3/4 of Trump voters support America First international assistance, according to a new poll by McLaughlin. One of President Trump's pollsters, Americans across the country support assistance designed to root out fraud, tamp down terrorism, secure our borders, support our small farmers, and feed starving children. And over 70% of Trump voters believe that President Trump should win the Nobel Peace Prize if he creates a world where almost no kids starve to death. This is the type of assistance we can get behind. Many people will try to stop him, but only President Trump can turn America First international assistance into a reality. If he does it, a Nobel Prize is in his future. And you guys can let me know in the chat if you do think that is true. I know that President Trump has been up for the Nobel Prize and has been blocked, or people keep saying that he should get it for all the peace accords that he's brokering, and he hasn't. But I'll let you guys argue out about that. Thank you to Rumble for supporting the channel, and thank you to the sponsors. And there you go, guys. Go check them out if that's something that you're interested in. I know we got a lot of diehard Trump supporters in the chat, as well as a lot of us more moderates that consider ourselves maybe free thinkers, conservatives that are, will call out the administration when it's due. But also we are definitely not on the left. So there you go. I voted for Trump to save these children and end these wars. Yep. Hang these perverts 100%. And then, or wood chipper.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
I'm a big fan of the wood chipper. All right. Hey, thanks for the follow there, Charger Lady. Welcome in. Hit the like button. Share it with a friend. Guys, we coming down to the end of the year, there was a huge uptick. We actually had a better December than most other channels did. And I know that's because you guys were actually sharing the channel, taking the link and sharing a channel with friends. So please help us get there. We were trying to get to 10K before the end of the year. We just missed it. But I know with your guys' help, we're going to get there this year and blow that out of the water. So anyway, chugging right along here. Oh, wait. Let's go ahead and double palate cleanse because I'm never going to sell you something without giving you a laugh afterwards. It's my promise to you. Let's see what we got in here. It says the United States during all negotiations with countries lately.
That was epic.
Oh my! What's up? Sorry, I was thinking about fights.
Dude, fucking
The kid nearly shit
Diaz,
himself.
dude. I know. Oh. What's up? What's up? Sorry, I was thinking about fights. just no warning, bro.
All right. Greenland. You want to talk about Greenland?
Dude. Yeah, we can talk about Greenland, dude.
Got anything to
Nate
tee it up?
Diaz,
Just want me
dude,
to go into it, dude. Straight no chaser.
Oh yeah, screw
Here we
it,
go.
bro.
Are you thinking of getting people in Greenland to get them on board with a possible U.S.
I'm not talking about money for Greenland yet. I might talk about that. But right now, we are going to do something on Greenland, whether they like it or not, because if we don't do it, Russia or China will take over Greenland, and we're not going to have Russia or China as a neighbor. Okay? I would like to make a deal, you know, the easy way, but if we don't do it the easy way, we're going to do it the hard way. And by the way, I'm a fan of Denmark too. I have to tell you, and you know they've been very nice to me. I'm a big fan, but you know the fact that they had a boat land there 500 years ago doesn't mean that they own the land. I'm sure we had lots of boats go there also, but we need that because if you take a look outside of Greenland right now, there are Russian destroyers, there are Chinese destroyers and bigger. There are Russian submarines all over the place.
Icebreakers.
We're not going to have Russia or China occupy Greenland, and that's what they're going to do if we don't. So we're going to be doing something with Greenland, either the nice way or the more difficult way. Please, go ahead, ma'am.
Please.
Mr. President, why is it so important to you to own it when you have a military presence there, which you could expand to affect security?
Because when we own it, we defend it. You don't defend leases the same way. You have to own it.
Yeah, very true. Well, like we said on Wednesday, I don't remember, but I read about the time that Denmark surrendered to the Nazis after 6 hours, and they guaranteed the sovereignty and security of Greenland back then, and the United States technically illegally continued to do that all throughout the war. So I find it really funny. I brought this up again to talk about it because I agree with Donald Trump. We need Greenland. There, yes, are a large amount of rare earths there too. Strategically, militarily, it makes a lot of sense. The Arctic is going to absolutely be an area where military operations will take place should there be a hot war or what would be probably World War III at that point. The United States is also woefully behind when it comes to icebreakers. It's a not as well taught or not as a broadly talked about topic as it probably should be, but it is. Go look up about that. The Chinese and the Russians avidly build those things really, really fast. But I find it funny, the rhetoric coming out of NATO. It's kind of like your kid who you completely finance everything for and take care of, coming at you and being like, I'm going to fight you if you don't give me more chicken nuggets and you take my plate away. That's exactly what this is like. Because first off, NATO is not going to do anything. Last I checked, on paper, the only country pulling its weight in NATO is us. So we are NATO. And with all due respect, weren't people just complaining about just a couple years ago? Because there are people defending NATO right now, talking about NATO being the bad guys when it comes to encroachment on Russia. It's like just how fast the narrative flips for people in their brains.
Mm-hmm.
But not to mention, having spent a lot of time around NATO troops and then even attending the NATO Academy, I'll tell you right now that the level of efficiency and professionalism and the way the military is scaled when it comes to rank structure and decentralized command and all these other things, that what you think you know about militaries around the world because of your experience with the U.S. military is not the same in any way, shape, or form. A ton of NATO countries have conscripts. A ton of NATO countries have 2 echelons for ranks, right? Just like the military does for the most part. Some branches have like warrant officers and things like that, but there's no difference in the bottom tier you're all the same thing, unlike the U.S. military, where there's a pay grade system from E1 through all the way through E9 and a bunch of little offshoots here and there for those things. And then you just have the officer corps, which you can purchase your way into, right? So there are big differences, and NATO isn't going to do anything. I don't want to, I also make this clear, right? I said this on Wednesday. I don't want to see U.S. troops on the ground fighting anybody for Greenland. We already have troops on the ground there. But it's going to happen. I'm just saying, like, I don't think this is one of these things where Donald Trump is just sort of saying it to see, like, how are people going to react? And then I'll walk it back or whatever. He's been talking about this for a long time. Trump 1 talked about it. Now Trump 2 is talking about it. And Trump obviously isn't playing around when it comes to asserting American dominance, securing up and shoring up American hegemony around the world, and deterring both the Russians and the Chinese. So this is going to happen. I just don't know how it's going to happen. But I'll tell you right now, if NATO did something, like they say they did, I don't think they will. Not only would you really probably be kicking off World War III if that happened, but you would be shooting yourself in the foot and cutting your nose off to spite your face. That's exactly what you'd be doing, because I'll tell you right now, the Chinese and the Russians aren't your ally. That's for sure. Anyway, the European people would be very excited about it either. I'll tell you that. So
yeah, no, I agree with you 100%. Like, based on everything else that Donald Trump has done just in the past couple months, we're going to have Greenland.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't just say things like that. Like when he goes that far,
we're beyond that
like,
now.
It's going to happen. Yeah.
It's not like 50-year mortgages where, you know, obviously nobody was excited about that at all, but
Dude,
that got walked back immediately.
We took him to task over that.
We did.
Holy cow. And it was great. Hey, I just want to throw this one up there. O'Connor Wright Stan, dude, thank you for the subscription. I'm going to give you one of those for that. And
I didn't even notice that. Thank you.
Yeah. Hey, dude, checked out your pod, like your stuff. Hit me up, DM me. Let's get you on the stream sometime.
Yeah, I saw you followed us over on X. Make sure you follow Chris too, because he's got a separate page. Common Freaking Sense is his page over there. But yeah, no, there was a comment in here I actually wanted to pull up. Maybe I misread it. Oh, here it is. Right here. Deborah. What's under Greenland? There's reports that something's been escaping from these tunnels under the airport or military base. So there is a U.S. military base in Greenland, at least one. I think there's a few, but Thule Air Force Base is the one that comes to mind the most. It's used for a lot of things, a lot of really smart things. I'll put it that way. Never heard anything about things coming out of that military base other than airmen and polar bears, apparently. But I do know they have a pretty sweet gym. Let's put it that way. I've never been to Thule. Ratchet says riders have breached yet another hotel here in downtown Minneapolis that they believe ICE is staying in. Police are refusing to respond. Oh, see, this is how you wind up with people getting shot and killed by federal agents. Just saying, if this is true, right? Police aren't coming to handle it themselves, and who knows what people are going to do. Like, at this point, you are just enabling more of this shit. That's all you're doing. Like,
that's the point. It's quite literally the point.
Oh, correct. Absolutely. You know, and I'll bring this up too, like we like to do. But Tim Walz's activation or putting the National Guard on standby is another form of agitation and propaganda. It's agitprop. That's what it is. Mm-hmm. And enforcing this by not telling the PD to not respond, if that's indeed what's going on. I don't know this to be a fact, right? Dude, like, you are.
Nick Sorter has been reporting on it all day.
Has he? Okay.
Yeah, he made a post earlier today about calling 911, and then he said something about the fact that they strung him along on the line for 20 minutes, and then basically told him, "Hey, nobody's coming," and like hung up on him. That's what his post alleged, anyway. So, yeah,
we'll see, man.
And I'm not supposed to be here, but you are here when 1% of the country owns 1.5 times the wealth to our national debt. It doesn't seem like the people are the problem. Hey, like I was saying earlier, I have opinions about crony capitalism, right? It's just not in the scope of the conversation tonight, but we can definitely have a conversation about that. I don't disagree with you.
Yeah. But I also know that taking all their money from them isn't going to prop the country up either, right? Mm-hmm. And a lot of those people that we're talking about here employ millions of other people. So anyway. Yeah.
All right. Well, let me take a look here. I am pretty sure that takes us all the way through the kick around. We have made it Ladies and gentlemen, so that means that it do be time to get down to the meat and potatoes of the issue.
Let's do it.
I don't have
There it is.
Yeah.
Well, tonight's theme is going to be about propaganda, since we talk a lot about it. And we talked earlier about people seeing the same thing and walking away with a totally different perspective. And this video came out today. I think I read that somebody at DHS or ICE leaked this video. But it's the video from the person who got hit by the car, their cell phone. Probably a lot of you guys have seen this one, but we're going to show it because we showed all the other video. Well, not all of the other videos, but a few videos on Wednesday about this. And we're going to talk about it because this one, if the others were not narrative busters for you, and I know there's going to be people that are never going to see it this way, this one certainly, without a doubt, is the narrative buster. So
do you think we should kick YouTube out tonight? Because this video has been all over YouTube, so I don't even see how we could get busted.
I mean, they'll find a way, dude. You know it.
All right. Hey, if you're the 6 guys hanging out over on YouTube, please come on over to Rumble and hang out with us, because YouTube definitely crushes our nuts, or X, because we're going to roll on into this and kind of like what we did on Wednesday, the no-knock breakdown and the meat and potatoes are all kind of going to get rolled up into one, just because this situation is the situation that everybody's talking about, and Brandon is going to give us the benefit of his experience as an Air Force cop about what he sees and what's going on. But hey, YouTube, it's been fun. It's been real, but it ain't been real fun. So you know how we do here. Go with God and don't be a dick. Oh.